Welcome to another episode of The Dissection. Things are going from bad to worse for Shadrack Sibiya, the general who's been implicated and called a criminal by General Mkhwanazi. Things are getting worse for him. He's received a letter of intention to suspend him. And things are slowly moving in the world of the commissions of inquiry which have been set in place. So let's start with the Commission of Inquiry. The Judicial Commission of Inquiry into criminality, political interference, and corruption in the criminal justice system, or the Madlanga Commission as it's being informally referred to, is set to have its first hearing on the 1st of September 2025. So we know this because they released a statement on Thursday, the 21st of August, saying the following. The Commission of Inquiry into Criminality, Political Interference and Corruption in the Criminal Justice System is pleased to announce that its hearings will commence on the 1st of September 2025. It is expected that the first hearing will be held in public. After considering several locations in Gauteng, the Commission has selected the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in central Pretoria as its official seat. The venue, which will host both its offices and hearings, has been made available at no cost. The Commission also confirms that, having explored and considered several options in Gauteng, it has determined that its office will be located at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in central Pretoria. So it's good that things are finally moving. 1st of September, things are finally moving. The Mkhwanazi press conference was on the 6th of July. And now, 2 months later, we're beginning to see a little bit of crystallization around this Judicial Commission of Inquiry. They say they'll be done in 3 to 6 months. That's not a realistic time frame, but at least now things are beginning to move. In fact, the fact that we moved up until 2 months already shows that things are not moving as fast as they should and as they could, but something is better than nothing, and this is progress. In addition to these announcements and the fact, of course, that this will be done at no cost, I think is an important thing as well, because in the Zondo Commission, one of the big debates and disputes at the beginning was the cost of the building, and overall, one of the big disputes and questions was around how much the whole thing would end up costing. This seems to have dealt with that big conversation at the beginning around costs. And so the focus can then be on having a successful launch day and getting the business of finding out what the hell has been going on between gangsters and politicians and police officers in South Africa. So, in addition to that, a list of regulations to guide the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has been published. The regulations were signed off by President Cyril Ramaphosa on Monday, and they were gazetted on Wednesday. So, the long and short of it is the following. Any witnesses that are testifying before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry who may self-incriminate cannot later be pursued by the Commission or any other court on charges related to their testimony and possible self-incrimination. I'm going to read that again. Any witness testifying before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry who may self-incriminate cannot later be pursued by the Commission or any other court on charges related to their testimony and possible self-incrimination. This is set out in a list of regulations by President Ramaphosa in relation to this particular Commission of Inquiry. The regulations further stipulate that should a witness provide false testimony or refuse to cooperate with the Commission, they can be criminally charged. The Commission also possesses the powers to conduct search and seizures to obtain evidence for the purposes of the inquiry. Now, this is tricky because on the one hand, you want to encourage witnesses to come and testify to be able to get to the bottom of issues. And typically within the criminal justice system, people are given plea deals. People are actually in negotiations with prosecutors quite often to say, listen, I can come and testify in this manner to assist you make an investigation in this way. And if these people are not big fish, I think it's quite important for them to come and provide this information, because to pursue small guys and try to prosecute them doesn't make any sense. But I'm not sure how this will now work for the big fish. So, for example, if you have Sibia who goes to testify and he self-incriminates, does this now mean that Sibia can no longer face charges at any level? I'm not sure if that is justice, and I'm not sure if that will actually be considered to be something fair. It's actually giving me some Truth and Reconciliation Commission vibes. And I'll have to look further into this question to see, what are the case studies, what is the legal research around this particular approach. I know that in competition cases where there's been collusion and that kind of thing, there's often an appetite to get to the bottom of the collusion and to prevent companies future doing that in future. And as such, you don't try to over prosecute the executives and the people who are working at the company, to continue to encourage people to come forward and testify so that you can stop collusion, etc. But I'll look into this and I'll do a deeper dive at a later stage. That's where things stand now. And I'll have to look into this question of how this will work for, the big fish. Because I don't think it would be reasonable for a big fish to go there, testify, and then because they testified. I wanted to say earlier that it reminds me almost of the TRC, where some people went there and they just showed fake remorse, penance, and got away with everything that they had been doing all through the apartheid years. And, one of the parties took that to the Constitutional Court. They lost. I think it was Azapo took it to the Constitutional Court. And the Constitutional Court at the time had said that the nation-building imperatives were more important even than trying to get, retribution, and reconciliation was a legitimate project. And as a result of that, some people did escape and walk away with impunity after having committed atrocities during apartheid. So now, when we think about this particular Commission of Inquiry, there's now a door that seems open for some people to be able to come in, say what they need to say, and then go back home and enjoy the spoils of everything that they've been doing for the last 20 years or however many years. But the benefit is that in the future, the policing will be clean. Hopefully, that's what you hope for. But as you can see from the TRC, that didn't always translate to the benefits that people thought they would get. Anyway, let's move to the second stage of the story now. Shadrack Sibiya has been served with a notice of intended suspension or temporary transfer. This week, according to reports in various media houses, Shadrack Sibiya received a letter notifying him that his suspension or temporary transfer under Regulation 10.1 of the South African Police Service Discipline Regulation will be considered on the grounds that he allegedly committed serious misconduct. It's not going well for this man. And I think it's good that he's suspended and that he sits on the bench. We don't want him messing with those dockets. There's gold in them dockets. I don't know now what happens with this Commission of Inquiry saying if you testify. Anyway, let's focus. The letter, which was signed by the National Police Commissioner, Fanima Samola, is dated 19 August. And according to the reports, this is what the letter says. It says that Sibiya allegedly gave instructions that the case dockets of the political killings task team in KwaZulu-Natal be withdrawn from the task team in KwaZulu-Natal to the Divisional Commissioner, Detective and Forensic Services. The letter states that this resulted in the investigation of these case dockets being hindered and or delayed, and further that these instructions to withdraw the case dockets to a central point were done without the knowledge and or authorization of the National Commissioner for reasons unknown. So it's insubordination. Sibiya is accused of acting with the intention to cause harm Sibiya is accused of acting with the intention to cause harm to or prejudice the service's interests and failing to carry out a lawful order or routine instruction without just or reasonable cause. So they don't want this guy around. Insubordination. Failure to carry out a lawful order or routine instruction. Command and control. Remember that when what was it? Fikile Mbalula was saying, no, why didn't General Mkhwanazi follow command and control? He was supposed to follow protocol. But now that protocol argument is now being used on Sibiya, right? Because he was talking about, no, what is this leave of absence where I'm being paid, but I need to be at work, etc. Then they're like, okay, hlala phansi. Awuhlale phansi, ubambe umthetho. That means sit down and respect the law, right? Literal translation. Respect the law, observe the law. So Sibiya is accused of acting with the intention to cause harm. Harm to or to, so let me read that again. Sibia is accused of acting with the intention to cause harm to or prejudice the police service interests and failing to carry out a lawful order or routine instruction without just or reasonable cause. He's also accused of defeating the course of justice and of misconduct that detrimentally affects the image of the police service, brings the police service into disrepute, or involves an element of dishonesty. They're calling this man Pinocchio. Shedric Pinocchio Sibia. That's what they're calling. It's not me. It's what they're saying in the documents. And he's been given until Monday, the 25th of August, to make written representations. He's going to court on the 26th of August, and they're saying to him, by Monday, send us papers explaining why you shouldn't be suspended. We told you not to do certain things, and you did those things. You going home. You staying home until we get to the bottom of all of this. That's the situation right now with Shadrack Sibiya, and I think it's reasonable. I think these allegations are serious. I think that what General Mkhwanazi presented is compelling. I think he needs to sit at home. We need to find out what's in those dockets. Those dockets need to move. Those dockets need to move. It's almost now as if the dockets are now going to be racing with the commission. Because if you testify at the commission and you self-incriminate, you get a get-out-of-jail-free card. But if Mkhwanazi and them get you before, there ain't no get-out-of-jail-free card because you charged already. And in fact, the cops need to move fast. Every docket, charge these people. Charge these people. Charge them. The things that we're hearing, the extent of this scandal, charge everybody. Charge everybody. Boppa, 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 boppingane, boppa. Boppa them. We need to have rule of law. And we need to make sure that these gangsters who have been destroying communities with nyaupe, with all of these drugs, face accountability. I think it's time. The hoshkari behavior has to come to an end. All these cats, Katisa Molefe, Vusimuzi Matlala, they've done a lot of damage, looting, polluting, all of the things that they've done. It's good what Mkhwanazi did. And finally, there's movement. I'll have to get back to you guys on this issue of the regulations and what the implications are thereof. Stay tuned in another episode. But thanks for watching. Yesterday's episode was big. Thanks for watching. If you haven't watched it, please watch that episode. It's on fire. It's on fire. Please watch that one. Sol Penduga said it's on fire. And if Sol Penduga says it, you know that it's legit. In and of itself, that tweet from Sol Penduga, man, that touched my heart. That touched my heart. Thank you, Sol. Watch that episode if you haven't. Till the next one.